friends, with you, it's Andrea Purvu, and today I welcome you guys back to a new episode of the Prima Podcast. For today's episode, we are going to discuss about Real Madrid's latest match against Real Sociedad in La Liga, and we are going to discuss basically about their tactics. So yeah, let's get on with it. So, in the back, you can see here basically the Real Madrid's lineup. It was a 4-2-3-1, the formation. And yeah, honestly, it was really interesting. I really liked it. Basically, from what I've seen, Xabi's idea was for the center backs to stay obviously in the back, and the two midfielders right here, the two defensive midfielders, to drop as lateral backs, and the wing backs to go up and down and basically help with the transition between the defensive phase and the attacking phase of the game. And we have here Mbappe, who played as a 9, and yeah, I don't know, I really felt during the game that still he's not comfortable with this spot. I could see him wanting to drop so many times and actually dropping back to his to the wing, and yeah, trying to basically go back and then go back up. So yeah, but he couldn't really succeed with those kind of actions because it was not really his spot, and there was also Vinicius here, so again there was like a little battle right there. So yeah, I feel like he's still not 100% comfortable enough with that spot, but still he really done a really great game. He was the MVP, and in my opinion 100% deserved it. But yeah, here we had Arda Güler, who was actually quite good. I really liked him, probably the second MVP. And yeah, sometimes I feel like he was playing as a false 9 during this game, and also as a box-to-box midfielder and helping with the transition phase. And here we have Brahim Diaz, who hadn't done much in the game. In my opinion, he was quite invisible, but we'll get to that. So basically, during the first half, at some point, Dean Howson got a red card. And yeah, I know Xabi Alonso got extremely mad and he denied the red card. He said that it was unfair, and that's why he also received a yellow card. But if you ask me, it was a pretty obvious red card. The position that the foul was made in was a red card worthy position, and also like, yeah, in my opinion, it was an obvious red card. So here is where the problem started for Real Madrid. The moment when they became 10 out of 11, and yeah, here it was obvious that they needed to make a change in the lineup. So at halftime, Xabi did this change. He decided to get out Brahim Diaz and to get in Federico Valverde. And personally, yes, this was something that quite surprised me in a way, the fact that Federico Valverde wasn't in the first 11, but it was quite obvious thinking about the formation that Xabi Alonso came up with, and the whole concept. Basically, he didn't really have his exact position in the concept, so that's why I understood in a way why Valverde was out for this match. But in the moment when Dean Howson received that red card, I immediately thought of Valverde, and I would have also done this substitution. But the moment when that happened, I didn't think of Brahim Diaz at all. I was thinking of getting out Vinicius. And this is not happening because I'm a Vinicius hater, because I'm not. I really am not. But I felt like they were both pretty bad. Brahim Diaz was invisible, but the thing was that Vinicius was visible, but he was visible in a bad way. Like, he didn't really succeed at all with his actions during the match. He didn't transform any ball that he received. He didn't transform any action that he got. And every single time the ball was getting to him, I felt like he was doing a mistake, an error, and it was just not it. And personally, like, in my subconscious mind, I didn't even think of Brahim Diaz because Brahim Diaz was invisible. I didn't even see him. But I could definitely spot Vinicius trying here, but not doing well. So my idea was to remove Vinicius and to make Valverde play as a center back, because he, as always, he's good in every single position you put him in. He probably is good as also as a goalkeeper, so yeah. And I would have dropped him as a center back, so kind of like the formation wouldn't have changed that much, and you would have had like, I would have dropped Mbappe on the left wing. Arda would have played as a false 9, and Brahim would have played as a right wing, and yeah, it would have changed like this. And yeah, basically the lineup would have looked like this after the first half, with Arda Güler helping here at the construction with Mbappe and Brahim Diaz, and the defensive lineup and the defensive line and the transition phase would have still gotten place, because these two would have dropped as Xabi Alonso thought as lateral backs, and then the wing backs would have went up and down for the transition. And yeah, and this would have been the attacking line, the attacking action in a way. And yeah, here Güler could have played as a false 9 or simply attacking midfielder, and he would have helped here with these two at the construction in my concept. And yeah, that's what also Xabi Alonso kind of did, but he did it with Brahim out and with Vini in the game, which was a bit weird for me. I mean, I don't know, I was quite convinced that at halftime he's going to get out Vinicius, but I understood why he chose to get out Brahim Diaz, because Brahim Diaz was not there. Like, he was absolutely invisible. At least Vinicius was doing something, but Diaz was not doing anything. And yeah, also Vinicius, we all know that he's phenomenal. He got so much potential, but sadly I think he lost confidence, or I don't know exactly what happened to him, but yeah, he's facing a downfall, and I'm thinking that in a way Xabi wants to get him back that confidence and get him back on shape and on track, but I don't know what to say. In a way, for me, it's worse to have a player that doesn't do much on the pitch than having a player that does things but only commits errors and mistakes. And yeah, I totally get that everybody commits errors, everybody commits mistakes, and it's very important to do that because that's how a player develops. But when that is a constant pattern and that person is not a beginner and is not in a phase, I don't know, I would choose to substitute them. Because yeah, we can think of Mbappe during last season, the first 6 months. Yes, he was extremely bad, and yeah, Carlo Ancelotti could have substituted him and not allowed him to play, but we all knew that that was a phase, because we all knew the potential that he had, and we all realized that his confidence was in a way gone. But when it comes to Vinicius, it's just a downfall. It doesn't seem to be a phase anymore. It's a year now since he's been playing that way. And I don't know, also for me, Vinicius, and this is a very controversial opinion, even though I like Vinicius, as I said, but for me, he never impressed me that much. As you remember, last year when the Ballon d'Or happened, I said that in my opinion he shouldn't have won, because I felt like he was never that consistent. He was like an explosion in the 24 season, starting from March and in the Champions League. But that lasted for like 3 months, only in the Champions League, and that was it. Like, after that, I don't know, he was good, but he was not, in my opinion, Ballon d'Or worthy, and he was not as good as people were claiming that he was. That was my opinion. So yeah, there I would have substituted Vinicius. So what I meant by that was the fact that yes, Vinicius was exceptional in his prime, but his prime lasted only for 3 months, and that was it. So he would not mess up more his teammates, and he would allow Mbappe here to play, because I feel like also Mbappe couldn't show his full potential because of Vinicius' presence right there in the left wing. So yeah, in a way, Vinicius wasn't performing, Mbappe wasn't performing to his best level. So yeah, I feel like that would have been the best substitution, but I totally understand Xabi's vision by substituting Brahim Diaz, and yeah, it was also a fair substitution in my opinion. And also, I feel like Vinicius cannot get back on track at Real Madrid because he doesn't fit anymore in the squad. As I mentioned before, Mbappe cannot play up to his standards because of Vinicius' presence, and Vini cannot play up to his standards because of Mbappe's presence. They fight over the same spot, and that's it. The best player in that spot and in that position should be the one that should play. And yeah, Real Madrid tried so hard to find a solution to make them both play as starters, but they simply cannot play together, and that's it. And that is a very important factor of Real Madrid's game and of my decision to substitute Vinicius. But what I've seen was that here, like, Valverde didn't play that much as a center back. They dropped Tchouaméni, and that was it. But to be fair, I don't really agree with that. I know that Tchouaméni is so good as a center back, and yeah, he works there pretty well in that position, but we all know that he doesn't really like that position and he does not want to play in it. And I think that that's a very important aspect in this sport and in the game, because you can really ruin that player's passion and motivation. And yeah, little by little that player will face a downfall, which is very hard to get back up in that position, because when your mental is not there and when your passion is destroyed and your motivation is destroyed, it's very hard to get back on track. It's easy to get back on track after an injury, after, I don't know, having a phase where you don't play that well, but once like that mental aspect is the one that is causing you the downfall, it's quite hard to get back up. So in my opinion, I wouldn't have dropped Tchouaméni. I would have dropped Valverde, and yeah, let him do his thing in the center back because he is good there also. So yeah, but what I've seen that they've done, they dropped Tchouaméni, and Valverde didn't really play the position that Tchouaméni played in the first half, like dropping on as a left back. I've seen him more like Valverde was playing kind of like his regular position, a box-to-box midfielder, helping with the transition phase. But yeah, that was my vision at the end of the day. That was my vision. In a way, I felt like the way he asked Valverde to play created a bit of chaos in the formation, but it was still successful. They still performed very well. It was not that bad, but yeah, that's just my opinion about that. And yeah, now we are going to talk a bit about the rest of the game. With the rest of the game, I 100% agree with everything that Xabi Alonso did. I mean, besides that, he did changes that were helping with the tactics, like defensive changes. He at some point inserted two defenders, Raúl Asensio and Fran Garcia. And yeah, I mean, at some point he was just wanting to preserve that result that they got, a 2-1, because you could see that there was already a bit of chaos for Real Madrid, and yeah, instead of risking to increase the score and maybe the opponents getting on a counter-attack and also scoring, he just decided to preserve the score and get more on the defensive side. And also there in minute 82 he did a substitution which I really wanted to touch on. It was the substitution that he did with Alexander-Arnold and Carvajal. They are both playing, you know, in the same position, a obvious and normal substitution. But I wanted to talk a bit about Trent Alexander-Arnold and his performances at Real Madrid and his role at Real Madrid. For me, it was it was obvious that once Carvajal is going to get back from the injury, he's going to be the starter. I know everybody was saying, yeah, but Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's one of the best on his position, and yeah, he's so good, he cannot not start, he cannot sit on the bench at Real Madrid. But personally, that's how I feel like how his career is going to be at Real Madrid. I think he's mostly going to sit on the bench, even though he's extremely good. I don't know, he's also not really my style, to be fair. I mean, I know that everybody's praising him, but to me, he never really impressed me that much. And yeah, I think he is very good. It's very good that we have him here at Real Madrid. But to have him as a substitution, to have him in case something happens, to have him at the ending of games when the players are tired and all that stuff, he could add there an explosion, but I don't see him being a regular starter. Or like, for example, doing rotations with Carvajal, maybe 3 matches Carvajal would be the starter, then 1 game it would be Trent, something like that, like rotations. But I don't see him again being a regular starter. So yeah, I totally agreed with that substitution right there. Already Carvajal was quite tired. Trent Alexander-Arnold also needs minutes and needs to play to still have that motivation, also because he's a young player, and still have that motivation and still be in shape. So yeah, it was pretty good that he allowed him to play for the last quarter of hour, because even though it was minute 82, they had like 6 minutes of extra time. So yeah, totally agree with that. And then the last substitution, which again confirmed Xabi's desire to preserve the score, was him inserting David Alaba, who, yeah, I don't know what to say. I've seen that probably this is the last season for him and Rudiger. I quite agree with what Xabi wants to do there, because also they are getting old. They are good, in my opinion, they're pretty good, I really like them, but they're getting old. We need new players, because yeah, we don't know exactly how much they're still going to be able to play. We already see a downfall, especially caused by injuries. But yeah, I mean, in my opinion, they're still very good, especially Rudiger. I think that Rudiger could still play for like 2 years. But I understand Xabi's vision, and I understand why he would choose to leave them out now and get new players on that positions, younger players that he could develop on the style and his coaching philosophy. So yeah, that was all I wanted to touch on for this week's match. And yeah, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it to your friends if you think that any of this information might be useful to them, comment down below any suggestion for me to improve and stuff like that, and subscribe to keep in tune with all of my uploads. Okay you guys, bye!